Welcome back, everybody, and we are going to continue on in Myst, and we're actually going to pick a age that was actually the last one I went to. It'll be the Stoneship age. We're going to quickly flip through this particular book. It's actually one of the longer ones, and I dare say it's actually pretty interesting. So I'll just let you pause as you will, and read as much as you can. But it's a clear indication of Atris actually wanting to do things to help out an age without actually writing anything into the age itself. Now this is interesting. These are constellations, and it shows you exactly what they look like in the night sky. 3 of them will become important in the solving of a puzzle, but it's good to know that they're all listed here in the book for you to look at. So that leaves us to drag the red line all the way to the docks, because that is the entrance to the Stoneship age. So yeah, the Stoneship age was actually the very last one I actually went to when I first played this game. I don't know what it was, but the puzzle with the constellations and stuff like that, it just, I don't know, I had a very hard time figuring it out. I don't know exactly why, but it was harder than the other 3 Ages of Myst, where I had to figure out the voltage, the time on the clock with the gear turning, and then of course what we're going to be doing later with the great tree in the cabin, which is unlocking and lighting up the gas stove. So those were, to me, easier to figure out than this, than figuring out how to unsink the ship. So obviously it came last for me, but I'm going to do it third. I'm going to do the Stoneship age, the third, and have Channelwood be last. Now, as you can see, we have 3 different dates here and times. Normally, you'd probably be at that screen for quite a few minutes while you're jotting down all the numbers, but for here, I've already jotted them down previously, so I'm just going to continue on and actually solve the puzzle itself. So, Stoneship age, the puzzles inside of it, I don't know, they're very vague, and I'll get to explaining that as soon as we get to the actual age itself. But yeah, for the most part, it's easy to figure out the general, I guess you could say, concept of how to get through the Stoneship age, but the overall trying to get out of it was a little bit, I don't know, just not very clear enough. So first things first is to go to the planetarium and enter in all these dates and times. So we'll start with the one that has the, I guess, lowest, I guess you could almost say, year date. That'd be like 12 something. And that looks like the snake to me. So the snake is one of the constellations we'll be activating. So now we're going to move on to the next one. The one good thing about having a faster computer is how quickly this moves along the timeline here. It does speed things up quite a bit when you're looking for constellations. And that looks like the leaf to me. So we have a snake and a leaf. We have one more constellation we need to figure out. This is way too far in the future. I can't even fathom being in the year 9791. That is just an insane year. And as such, the scanner is having a very hard time finding it. It's like, okay, so it looks like a bug. Alright, so in the future it's going to be nothing but bugs. So snake, bug, and leaf. So what do we do with that information? We go out here to all these pillars surrounding the ship, and we find exactly those pillars and click them to turn them green. And that, my friends, is the solution to the puzzle. Sure enough, you hear a lot of water being displaced, but it seems kind of loud, actually. So I think more is happening here than meets the eye. As you can see, the ship has risen from the fountain, but, you know, that was a lot of noise. So obviously the major ship, the bigger actual ship itself, has risen out of the water. And therein lies the book to the Stoneship Age. Now, why that was so hard for me to figure out when I was younger, I have no idea, because that's actually pretty simple. I mean, once you got the dates and everything, you kind of figured out what to do next. You would go to, of course, the planetarium, you know, have them scan the dates and look at the constellations, then take it over to the pillars and select the ones that you found. Pretty simple, all said and done, but it was just a little bit too much, I guess, for my young 10, 11, whatever old mind was at the time. Okay, so you can go here, but it's not only dark, but it's filled with water. You can't go anything there. That's filled with water. If you go all the way here to the lighthouse, there's a lock up there you can't get to. There's a key that's bolted, and then it's also flooded with water. For the longest time, I thought that key that was bolted to the ground had something to do with the lock up top, but not to be. So if you push this, it almost sounds like a pump, like water's being filtered out of something. Yep, sure enough. You can go down here, but it is way, way too dark to see anything. Absolutely nothing. So you're not going to be able to make much headway down here unless you have some form of light. So right now it's kind of pointless to go any further, so we're going to actually hit the pump and try something else. Okay, looks like it is now unflooded, but it is still way, way too dark to be exploring. So, and there's another pathway in as well, this one, but again, it ends up being way too dark. So we need some way of lighting up this whole age in the interiors. So we click the last pump option, and let's see if the lighthouse is unflooded. Sure enough, it is. So this is something we can do right now. So why did this not float up to the top? Well, if you look at this little spigot here and turn it, oh, some water's coming out. Now, if you did what I stupidly did, which was not turn this back and seal the chest up tight and then reflood the the lighthouse, the chest wouldn't be floating up near the top. I actually made that mistake once when I first played it. I'm like, oh, maybe I should reseal the chest up again so that it floats back up. Kind of an important detail there. And sure enough, it is floating as the water filled back in, so that is what the bolted key is for. And inside you find another key, and oh my goodness, I wonder where this could go. And now we have access to the upper portion of the lighthouse. Pretty simple puzzle all said and done. This looks like a stash of batteries, maybe? Looks pretty empty, but if you hand crank it, you actually generate power for the entire stone ship complex there. So if you take a quick look, it looks like there is some power, and this actually is run on a real timer, which means that the timer is ticking as we're exploring right now. So if you run out of time, well, lights will turn off while you're down in these passages, and you'll be fumbling in the dark trying to find your way back out. Not a very good prospect. But the goal of these tunnels is basically to get you down to the bottom where you have the individual brothers' rooms. This one is Akinar's. And you can tell just by the decor alone. I mean, look at this. My goodness, it's got like a ribcage light. That's kind of disturbing. And some poison. Always poison in his rooms. And his bed looks filthy, disgusting. I would not even want to lay down on that bed. I'd be afraid of fleas and mice. Ugh. On the other side, you got these strange masks. He's all about the masks. And an interesting device up top here. If you press it, you get a nice little rose. You're like, oh, that's cool. And then you turn it, and you're like, okay, that doesn't... Well, that's not pleasant. course, you have all these drawers to look through. So, I mean, you've already got the blue page. What's the point of looking in all the drawers? There's nothing else to find, right? He's very big on maps, though. Maybe he was a navigator at one point? Who knows? But then you come to this drawer, and it looks something about the marker switches. And something about the on and off positions. Or apparently we're going to have to find the other half of that page to get the full message here. But we have done everything we could, but if you go to the third landing down, you will find a small panel here. It's hard to see. And in fact, I remember when I first played this, I was wandering for hours and hours because I had no idea what to look for. And I think it's kind of a cruel joke from the developers to have that hidden panel there. But anyway, we get a compass rose and a lot of buttons to push from. So if you push just one, oh my goodness, you just overpowered the system. So it's like you're kind of fumbling in the dark trying to figure out what the heck is going on. So you've just shut down the power by overloading the system by pressing the wrong button. So how the heck are you supposed to figure out which of the myriad of buttons on that compass rose is the right one? Well, for that, you go up here. And there's a telescope up here you can look at. What is the purpose? Well, for the most part, as you drag the telescope around, there's not much to see, really. Nothing of real note all the way around. Until you get here, to the lighthouse. And it looks like between 130 and 140, you get the degrees of 135, which is the compass azimuth from the telescope of the lighthouse. So, well, barring any further clues or hints, we're just going to have to go with 135 as the correct button to push. 135 degrees on the compass rose. But first we need light. So yeah, trying to figure out that 135 degrees is the proper button to push on the compass rose is kind of a vague, I guess, jump in logic to try and solve this puzzle. I still don't understand how they figured out how people were supposed to figure that one out. And it even gets worse. It's not even a true compass, and I'll talk about that when we get down here again. So you go back in through here. Now, the compass, it's not a full 360 degrees coverage. It's pretty much like 11.25-ish degrees per button. So taking that into account, 135 should be right here, there you go, with that red arrow pointing to it. So you kind of have to do some math interpolation there just to figure out which button 135 is. Kind of a cruel joke if you ask me. But yeah, that is the solution to that puzzle. That is the one that just boggled my mind for hours and hours trying to figure out. I mean, for a while I was doing the whole brute force method and I was just pushing every single button. Like, does this one work? No. Okay, back up. Okay, does this one work? No. Okay, back up. You know, it was just terrible. Absolutely terrible. But that's the logic behind that puzzle. So now that you're back down here, you actually can see stuff. And there's a table down here, and through some sort of black magic, a book comes up from the table, and you can take it and go back to Myst. But yeah, I wonder how some of these technologies really work. Because that seems like evil magic to me. Book coming out of the table, I'll be like, oh gosh, demon book. But yeah, we're gonna hear what Akinar has to say now.
My friend. Bring in the blue pages. I see. Convinced the Cirrus is guilty. Pray, do not release him. He will destroy me just as he did. The innocent bystander. I've been wrongfully tricked into imprisonment. You have observed his unbridled lust for riches. In the 4 remaining worlds, some plot. It was almost perfect. Final blow to father. You tricked him into believing that It was I who was the murderer. I didn't murder father. Bring me the remaining. Please. Liar. Pulling a liar. Must not be free. The remaining blue pages from the last age of Myst. I must be free. You must free me. I cannot bear it here for eternity. Free me.
Well, while I truly believe that Akinar is sincere about not bearing it here for eternity, you still got to give pause to think. He's talking about a scheme that his brother had employed that tricked Atris into believing that Akinar was the actual villain, and then killing Atris after Akinar had been trapped in the book? I mean, that's what I'm gathering. So how did then Cirrus get trapped in the Red Book? What is the overall story here? And so that is something that we're going to have to figure out, and it looks like we're going to have to repump so we can find Cirrus's room. We're going to have to generate some light, otherwise it's going to be a very dark journey down to Cirrus's room. So you're going to have to redo a couple things in this age just to get the other page, but it's nowhere near as bad as the Selenic age, where you have to redo a whole frickin' maze! Forget that nonsense. But yeah, again, the rooms pretty much exacerbate the difference between the two brothers and their styles of living and, you know, what they believe in. And we actually learn a little bit of more detail about Cirrus in this. He really likes the finer things in life, obviously, from the bed and such. Yep. Greed, which is endless. Oh, he likes fine china, all this good stuff. Cloth and fabrics. And some empty drawers. And a page! Alright, we're done here. But let's take a little extra look around. Got these cool little... I don't even know what you'd call them. Like little entertainment pillars? I don't even know. I don't know what their purpose is. You got this cool little thing on the desk here. I don't even know why it does this. But yeah, cool. But if you look here... Ooh... Looks like Cirrus is kind of a drug addict, maybe. Like to shoot himself up with morphine or something? I have no idea. But that is something you might want to factor into your decision who to choose, Akinar or Cirrus. But yes, you have to go through here and select the right compass position. Remember, it's the bottom right red arrow pointing to the right switch. That's the easiest way to remember it. And then you got to repump the ship itself out again so you can reach the book. The Black Magic Book. So yeah, I pretty much solved most of the puzzles myself in the Stoneship age, but I literally honestly had to look online for outside help just to figure out that stupid compass rose. So beyond that, the rest of this age shouldn't give players too much trouble their first time through. So we'll see what Cirrus in his supposedly cunning speech is going to tell us now. So what you got for us now, Cirrus?
With each page I can see more clearly. Soon, free from this horrible prison, this book. You must visit the one remaining age which you have not. Confident that my brother Akinar is demented. He is guilty. He took advantage of the freedom our father had given us. Akinar began to I ask you again. destroy both myself and you, just as he destroyed the other ages of Myst. Never will escape. You must simply bring the red. Story that your wisdom. You will see that I am innocent and he is guilty. This forgotten island long ago. I will owe you my life, and you will be greatly rewarded.
Yeah, the fact that he tries to entice us again with more great rewards, a little bit unsettling to me, and doesn't entice us any further of choosing him over Akinar. But yeah, he talked a lot about the freedoms their father given us, so we'll delve deeper into this in the next age. Until then, see you later.